here and open this up. And let's see here, just like, and this here. Sorry about that, guys. I'm having a couple of technical difficulties, so bear with me as I get this going again. So I want to talk about Renée Coleman Mitchell, and let me just open this up and do all this here again. Apologize for that. I got booted off, and I want to play this video for you, and I want to discuss some very interesting things about this case with Renée Coleman Mitchell. It's absolutely fascinating, and bear with me as I'm talking to you doing this. I had done this before and then just got kicked off of the internet, so I just want to share this around and have a discussion about this. So Renée Coleman Mitchell, who is the head of the DPH, she was fired. Governor Lamont suddenly fired her during the coronavirus pandemic. He did this 3 months ago, and she just recently came out. So I'm going to play this video, and hopefully I'm not going to get cut off again. I don't know if it's a problem because I'm double streaming videos, and maybe I should even read the article to you guys. But I wanted you to hear it out of her own words. And so then I also have some really interesting information. I'm going to try this again. If it fails me, then I won't play the video because maybe it's too much for my system, although it shouldn't be. So this is Renée Coleman Mitchell. This was played, this aired a couple days ago on News Channel 8, and I wanted to share this with you and then have a discussion about other things that I found about her firing and the nursing home deaths in Connecticut. It's a very interesting story. So let's take a look at her, Renée Coleman Mitchell, in her own words. Here we go.
Release of a critical report. She says her ideas that would have saved lives in nursing homes were ignored, and she says she is a victim of bias. News 8's Shayna Ferreira live tonight with that. Shayna.
Darren, Renée Coleman Mitchell tells me during her firing at the height of the state's COVID-19 response effort, it was a clear example of discriminatory bias. This is all according to her, and tonight she gives us her side of what happened leading up to her abrupt May 11th departure.
The relationship I had with the governor was excellent.
Former Public Health Commissioner Renée Coleman Mitchell telling News 8 she still has little to no answers on her abrupt firing.
To have the governor then appoint Josh Cabal as the chief operating officer to oversee the COVID-19 response on behalf of the state of Connecticut, when he was the commissioner for the administrative services, DAS, for the state, who has an IBM background, not a single shred of public health practice or experience.
Mitchell, a seasoned public health official with over 30 years of experience, says she's the one who first sounded the alarm to the Lamont administration on the need to act fast when the virus was spreading in nursing homes.
There were a number of individuals that could have been truly not impacted in such a negative way in terms of illness and ultimately death.
Mitchell says she waved her red flag on March 5th for Governor Lamont to issue an order to end nursing home visitations to protect the most vulnerable. The order wasn't in effect until March 13th.
It's as if it's intentionally let comments been put out there as if I was the problem and the issue as to why the nursing homes weren't addressed in a timely fashion. And that is not the case.
The state has contracted policy research firm Mathematica to conduct an independent review of the state's pandemic response efforts. Mitchell says she refuses to be scapegoated in the process.
They were answering to the chief operating officer and not answering to me, so they did not listen to me. They did not give me the respect as a public health commissioner making a decision to go forward.
As it stands, Mitchell tells News 8 she is still in the dark about her professional career and where she goes from here.
How do you think it felt to be humiliated and treated as such, that I was considered the public health commissioner, and yet this individual with no public health experience is put into office as leading the incident command to address COVID-19, and I am thrown aside? Was that the intentions of the governor? That's a question for him.
Now, we did ask Governor Lamont for comment. This is what he had to say.
Now it's become a personnel issue, and these are new accusations, but it's a personnel issue. Let's let that take care of itself. I thought the role is changing, especially in the height of the pandemic. I really wanted to see the Department of Social Services and Public Health work together on a more coordinated basis going forward, and it required a different skill set, and that's what we did.
Now, Mitchell tells us the governor promised her a separation package with a year's salary, benefits, and a recommendation letter. She says the governor has not fulfilled that promise. We also reached out to the chief operating officer, Josh Cabal, for his reaction. His response tonight was no comment. Live with the latest, I'm Shayna Ferreira, News 8.
Times like these, you can rest easier knowing Railroad Stores Furniture and Mattress Center is now open.
Wow. Okay, so this is why I think this is such an interesting story. It is absolutely fascinating here, and I got the two of these guys here, and why I think this is such an interesting story is because in 2019, there was a writer that did a FOIA on Annie Huntress Lamont. Annie Lamont is a very interesting person in all of what is going on with the COVID-19 response. She is, I would say that Annie Lamont, based on what I've been reading about her and my understanding of her, is that she is at the forefront of everything the Lamont administration is doing. So I'm going to read you this, and I'm going to put this in the comments for you guys too. It's hard for me to put that in the comments while I'm going live, and I apologize for that, but I have all of this linked, all referenced. I've been sharing this quite a bit on my wall. I think I posted it just before I had this video, so you guys can follow it. I'm just going to read you this nice little factoid on Annie Lamont. So Annie Lamont, who has made a fortune in healthcare investments, was a key advisor in choosing the new social services commissioner. She's a key advisor in choosing everything. Now here's the most interesting part about this quote, and this is Kevin Renee's work, and he wrote an article. He sued the Lamont administration for freedom of information, and this is what he found. Listen, this is March of 2019. This is what Annie Lamont is saying in an email that she didn't, FOIA is a really good thing, and we need FOIA. Interestingly enough, our state has weakened FOIA laws recently, and part of the reason has to do with they get caught with their pants down. Listen to this quote from Annie Lamont. Mrs. Lamont thinks fewer people should be in nursing homes. In a message dated March 6, 2019, she writes, I know nursing home aides are afraid to lose their job, but they can be repurposed to good jobs in home care. She wants less people in the nursing homes. She thinks fewer people should be in nursing homes. And in this statement, she's saying that she knows that people are afraid they're going to lose their jobs. Someone may want to run that by the powerful healthcare union. So here it is in her own words that Annie Lamont is thinking that there should be fewer people in nursing homes in March of 2019. So here we are, okay, August 2020. Now, after I had found that, well, actually I was inspired to look up what was going on with the nursing homes, because also New York and California has also had, I'm sorry, not California, but all of it's New Jersey, New York, Connecticut. There's a few other states with really high nursing home deaths. And it's just interesting how there's a pattern throughout these different states. So according to the Hartford Courant, nearly 70% of all COVID-19 related deaths occurred in nursing homes. So now it turns out that Renée Coleman Mitchell is made some serious accusations, and I'm hoping that she's going to continue to speak up and come forward, because Josh Cabal, he's an industry insider. It's like Lamont has surrounded himself with all of his buddies in his administration, which is not a good thing for the people. It's good for the private sector. Josh Cabal is a big heavy hitter in the private sector, making oodles and oodles of money. He is the chief administrative officer for the state of Connecticut. He was also taking on the role that Renée Coleman Mitchell, who has 30 years experience in public health. And I will give Renée Coleman Mitchell some serious credit, because during the big debate about releasing information for vaccination records, she did not support the governor wanting to release those. She did not see a public health crisis at that time, and she held her ground and said no. Then she came back, and after the session, and she came back in early 2020 before all of this started happening, and she rescinded that. She said, okay, let's release the data on what children are taking a religious exemption to vaccination and what aren't. And then later on, she was pictured in the Hartford Courant getting a flu vaccine. And the interesting story about that, her getting the flu vaccine, she hadn't gotten one in years. She didn't do the flu vaccine anymore because she had gotten sick from one. Her own words, she had gotten very sick from a flu vaccine, and then she's pictured in a Hartford Courant getting the flu vaccine with Richard Blumenthal, because there's been a very strong push for a flu vaccine in the recent years. In case you guys, I'm sure everybody has noticed it all over the place. And I felt like this poor woman is being strong-armed. And I kept hoping that she was going to stand up to him, and she didn't. So I was really disappointed, because I had so much respect for her to stand up against Lamont. And then she acquiesced. And then look what happened to her in the end anyway, because there is no pleasing this tyrannical governor who is so deeply enmeshed in the power elite class of our country. Connecticut is the belly of the beast for the power elite class. Lamont is a prime example of that elite class. I'm going to read you some other, I'm going to post all this, and I hope that you guys, I wonder if I could try to get it in the comments on my phone. So I'm going to post all this for you guys, because I'm going to see if I can do it. You got to just check this out. So Lamont, who says that he's a big supporter of Black Lives Matter, right? That's all just mouthpieces. He doesn't care about Black lives. Lamont doesn't. That is so obviously evident by the firing of a very competent Black woman. That is hugely evident. And if that doesn't make people mad, I don't know what is, because there is no reason to fire this woman. He is doing it because he wants to get rid of her. She did not agree with his policy on the nursing homes. The nursing home deaths are on Ned Lamont's hands, just like they are on Governor Cuomo's hands. Governor Cuomo had an executive order sending people who were sick with COVID back to nursing homes. Governor Cuomo did that. See, now the thing with Lamont, he didn't put it in executive order, because he's got Annie as his wife, and she's the one really running the show behind the scenes. It's a really interesting story. So I'm going to cut all this out. I'm going to put this in the comments. Hopefully it's going to... Oh, and the other part that I want to bring up to you guys is the fact that she's fired, and now they have this company. I don't know who this company is, and I just started to do some research on it. So here, I'm going to go and comment in here. Bear with me if this all of a sudden pops on. Here we go. I did it through my phone. Perfect. So those links are in the comments now. Go check it out. Go read about them. Ned Lamont was a member of the Round Hill Country Club, or Roundtree Country Club. Let me see. I have it in my notes right here. He was a member of this exclusive country club in Greenwich that was all white folks. You know, he just said, well, some people just don't have enough money to be a part of this club. Anyway, he ditched the club to run for Senate a while ago. He's really careful about his image. And then he comes out recently, he's got his t-shirt, I can't breathe. And then shortly after that, he fires Renée Coleman Mitchell, a competent Black woman who is the head of the DPH, for his buddy. Talk about white privilege, right? Talk about white privilege. And I deplore that term. I could go on about that. But talk about white privilege, because I think everybody should be united and we shouldn't separate each other based on race, whatever color you are. But talk about white privilege. We're talking about elitism here. So he chooses Josh Cabal, who is, he's Yale, Yale educated, a private sector, big time CEO. He's had his hands in science, some science tech company. And he's the chief administrative officer of our state as well. So now he's heading the task force in the public health response, and they ousted Coleman Mitchell. It makes zero sense to me whatsoever at all, period. And there's some more I want to put in the notes because I missed some things with Annie Lamont. Now, interestingly, they hired Mathematica, is a private company, which is interesting. You guys should totally check that out. That is in the comments that I just posted there. So the state hired Mathematica. And what I want to tie back into is that Annie Lamont is heavily invested in, she is the managing partner of Oak HCFT private equities firm, the private venture capitalist firm. She founded it. This company is worth $8 billion, and Annie Lamont founded it. She has made her fortune in the healthcare industry. She has her hands in Huffington Post. The Oak Hill Management Company has investments in Huffington Post. They have investments all over the place. I'm just at the tipping point, tip of the iceberg in doing some deep dive research on Annie Lamont and Oak HC-FT. Let me just tell you this, that this is ranked as #1 health investor on the Forbes Minus list. Annie Lamont serves on the boards of all kinds of health in companies. I mean, like, the list is really long. I'm going to post this in the comments. I want you guys to see what I'm talking about here. So I'm just going to put this all in there for you, because this is really important. The more that you know, the better you are, the more empowered you are. So Ned Lamont just fired a competent woman from a position that she was fully qualified to do. And I gotta tell you that it just stinks. It stinks in a major way on so many levels. You know what, guys? We have to get over boxing each other into labels. Republican, Democrat, black, white. We have to look at ourselves as the 99% and the 1%. This guy, he is the 1%. He is the 1%. Him and his ilk, him and his wife, she's worth billions of dollars. She founded the Oak investment firm and is worth billions and billions of dollars. I'm going to put this in the comments here for you guys so you can go see it for yourselves. I did a deep dive on her. I got some old articles. Oh, it's telling me my comments too long. How annoying is that? It's like, let me see what I could do there. I'll put that in after the show. That's a really important comment that I want to get out to you guys, because this is just insane. It's just absolutely outrageous. We go back into the New York Times, where they're accused, there's racism accusations against this governor. And believe me when I tell you, I think they're eugenicists. They're in that same kind of criteria. They hung out in a very exclusive, all-white, wealthy club. And it's not just your skin color to be in this club, although for that particular club it was at the Round Hill Country Club. But it's like this elitist attitude, this mentality that people are expendable, that it doesn't matter. If you're not in the club, it's like George Carlin said, it's a big old club, you ain't in it. And so now we're seeing Lamont's true colors coming out. Let's also take a look at some of the people that are there on his reopening committee. And I want to just particularly bring up this name is Ezekiel Emanuel, who has a very close relationship with Annie Huntress Lamont and the Oak investment firm. So Ezekiel Emanuel, he said this is how it connects to the nursing homes. They wanted to kill people. This is what it looks like. Ezekiel Emanuel is on television, like I think it was MSNBC. You could go look it up yourself. Just type in Ezekiel Emanuel, MSNBC, and he's talking about, when you're 75 years old, it's a done deal. Like, don't need to help you out. Annie Lamont is quoted in a private email saying that the nursing homes are overcrowded. You know, there's too many people in nursing homes. We got to do something about it. In March of 2019. Then we have COVID, and suddenly we have 70% of COVID deaths are happening in nursing homes. We have to take a deep, hard look at these uncanny connections that we're seeing, that it's just more than coincidence. So I'm going to try and cut just a little bit of this for you guys. I'm going to cut this out. I'll get it over to Ezekiel Emanuel, a biochemist and the brother of Rahan Emanuel, the former Chicago mayor and White House chief of staff. Most recently, he's been a partner in Annie Lamont's firm. This is Annie Lamont's firm, Oak HCFT. This is an investment firm worth $8 billion. They own a chunk of Huffington Post now. I'm just at the tip of the iceberg about the things that this company, this investment company owns, and they're heavily invested in the testing. They're invested in the contact tracing. They're invested, they paid one of their state helpers of this group that came, and I can't, the name off the top of my head, I can't think of it, but there's a group that's, you know, managing the state, getting $2 million out of Massachusetts. Sorry, I had a brain fart on the name of that group, but they are connected. It's a big club and we ain't in it. None of us. Not even this experienced black woman that they just fired. And he's talking about, you know, being, you know, this person who's benevolent. He's not benevolent, he's a tyrant, and he lies. So I hope that Renee Coleman Mitchell, I'm going to put this in the comments for you guys so that you can go and look. And I'm sorry I couldn't give you all of that just right now. There's more stuff, and I'll put it in the comments there too. So we have got to hold these people, their feet to the fire. Okay, I really hope that Renee Coleman Mitchell comes out and sues him, sues the pants off of them. I sent her this stuff. I sent it all to her because I find it outrageous that in 2019, Annie Lamont is talking about the nursing homes are overcrowded and we need to do something about it, and they need to get the healthcare workers that are there to support her to get the people out of the nursing homes. Okay, this is real. I put this in the comments. This came out of FOIA. This is 2019, and then we have all these deaths. It's an odd coincidence. Or is it? Or is it? The same odd coincidence happened in New York State. The most deaths happened in nursing homes, and Governor Cuomo doesn't have Annie Huntress Lamont as his wife, so he did it in an executive order. Lamont is more slippery. So you got to ask yourself, what's going on here? And do we really trust this man, Edward Minor Lamont, who is a descendant of Thomas Lamont of the House of Morgan, that's J.P. Morgan and Chase, that his wife Annie Lamont is the founder of a company that is worth $8 billion. Oak HCFT. $8 billion in acquisitions and ventures and owning stuff. And it's all in the medical fields, guys. It's all in the medical field. That to me, that keeps me up at night. All her money is coming out of medical investments. They're looking at, they're making hand over fists. And I've had Victoria Eloise on with me following. She's such a good researcher, and she really dives deep in following the money and coming up with some great information that we need to have as a people, because we've got to stop putting these people in office. He is operating as a king. He's making edicts without the basis of science. The science is never settled, okay? It's not ever settled. You can have government-funded scientists all parroting the same establishment narrative. It is a theme. These are government-funded scientists, but anybody who doesn't fit into the box of government-funded science is silenced. There are thousands of doctors and scientists saying that these lockdown measures, masking, social distancing, and all of that is not how we go about public health. This is the road to tyranny. This is the road to technocracy. This is the road to complete loss of all liberties and freedoms. And if we don't stand together as a people now and start to do something about it, we're in deep trouble. This is a very scary time in life. And I just pray to God that Renee Coleman Mitchell sues him and that the truth comes out about what happened in nursing homes. Because Ezekiel Emanuel, who's now her partner at Oak HCTF, whatever you want to call it, it's in the notes, gigantic venture capitalist company worth $8 billion. He's partners with them now. He said when you're 75, you middle class blue collar schlep, you don't deserve to live. If you need some kind of surgery or space in a hospital, go home to die. I mean, that's basically what he said. He didn't come out. He said it, and it was shocking. And he said it more in a kind of like, TV way. And I'm just blown away by this. So Renee Coleman Mitchell coming out is a big, big deal. We have to really look at Lamont. We had Governor Rowland, Ned Lamont, Edward Minor Lamont, who is from a very wealthy family, whose wife founded an $8 billion investment company, who made her billions off of the health care industry, is running our state behind closed doors, doing a lot of stuff with public-private partnerships and trying to hide outside of the realm of FOIA. So if we continue to allow this, we are going to lose everything we hold dear. This is like a plea to start to really look, and let's stop fighting with each other. We are the 99%. Every color, every party, whatever party you're in, stop being boxed into a party. It don't matter. It doesn't matter. This guy is donated to any candidate that he would like when he was not the governor. Party doesn't matter. These are heavy-duty players. We have to unite as a people to come up and say no more. And I just hope that Renee Coleman Mitchell's story of how she was fired and in her place Josh Gabal. And Victoria has some interesting things about him that we went over a while back, and I'm going to be talking to her more about this guy, Josh Gabal. He's got his hands in some funky investments too. They all do, in shell companies, and they're playing these games. And they fired this woman, and a lot of people died. A lot of people died, and our economy is crashing. Our economy is crashing, and we've got this governor who's operating like a king behind closed doors with private sector industry billionaires, the elite class of this country, the 1% class of this country. It's not you or me. We're the 99%. It don't matter what color you are. We still get kicked in the butt. And especially this poor woman, this very well-educated woman who is fully qualified with 30 years experience in the public health field gets kicked in the butt for this rich white guy. They don't care. So, and the reason is, it's not because he was a white guy. It's because he's an insider. He's an insider in their cabal of industry, private sector billionaires. That's what they are. Industry, private sector billionaires. Connecticut is their playground. We are in the belly of the beast. We need to have good conversations about what's going on and look deeper than what the media tells you, because they're not telling you about Annie Lamont making that comment in March of 2019 that the nursing homes were too crowded and that we needed to do something about it. Now here we are in 2020 in the COVID pandemic, and 70% of the deaths in the state of Connecticut are in nursing homes. So that's got to make you think. I hope she sues. So that's all for now, guys. I hope you have a glorious rest of your day. Question everything. And check out the links that I put in there. Some of those articles come from, they're old, as I took a dive into who is Ned Lamont and who is Annie Huntress Lamont. A little harder to get more info on her. But I'm taking a dive there, going a little deeper. But I do know that she is the head of Oak Investment Company, and it's an $8 billion company, and it's made its billions from the healthcare industry. And Ned Lamont and Annie Lamont belong to an exclusive white club in Greenwich, the Round Hill Country Club, something to that effect, something Round Country Club, Round Hill, I believe it is, and it's an exclusive club. And it had a reputation of being a white exclusive club, and he ended his membership. Sure, he did. He did that when he ran for Senate against Joseph Lieberman. But I don't know if he's still a member now. Out in the open. I think he's still a member. He just is trying to keep it under the table, because he's gonna wear his t-shirt says "I can't breathe" and says he supports Black lives as he fires a qualified, competent Black woman from the position of the Department of Public Health, so he could put one of his cronies in her spot because she wasn't wanting to dance, she wasn't wanting to play ball, she was putting her foot down, and that's what happens. So there's, question everything. And the media is garbage. It's garbage. It is all controlled by a small group of very wealthy people who want you to hear one narrative. They want you to hear the establishment narrative. They don't want you to hear anything else. And any other scientists that say masks don't work, legitimate scientists, WTNH isn't giving the scientist that says masks work a spot, and the scientist that says masks do work, and allowing them to debate publicly. They're not doing that. All you get is that that's just pseudoscience. That's BS. That's BS, okay? Denmark, and I'm going to do a show on this coming up soon, they had the least deaths, and they never use masks, okay? So this show isn't about masks right now, but I always go back to there because the governor supposedly is going to be making an announcement and revising his executive order on masking. So I will definitely have something to say about that when that happens, and I'm waiting to hear what he's got to say. But for now, yeah, Renée Coleman Mitchell is starting to come out, and I really hope that she sues the governor and more of this is brought to light. Please, guys, question everything. Love your neighbor. If you want to wear a mask, wear a mask. If you don't want to wear a mask, don't wear a mask. Let's get along together. If you're a Republican, shake a Democrat's hand. If you're a Democrat, shake a Republican's hand. Don't put all your eggs in the presidential basket. Don't go out there publicly saying anyone who votes for Trump is stupid or anyone who votes for Biden is stupid. Who cares? They're just puppets at the end of the day. We have got to take it from the ground up, from the local level, and start to reclaim our country back from the elite 1% class. We the people, the 99%, every color, party, whatever you are, we need to connect together and do something about this because it's only going to get worse. I'll be back live with another story after the governor makes his announcement on the executive order that he's about to change, illegally, by the way. So we'll see how it goes. Stay safe in the crazy world.